Okay, hi everybody, it's Hubby with Just About Anything Garage, and we're on part number 3 video, which is going to focus on the fuel system for getting the EFI system swapped over onto Ghost. So we hope you enjoy the video, and we appreciate you watching. So hang on, it's coming right at you. All right, so we're going to get up here with a wire brush. We're going to clean it, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint it with some black paint. Get some light on the subject. I'm going to throw a mask on so we don't suck dust. Make some rust dust, huh? Let's stick you up in there. There we go. Nice and clean. We'll come back and touch up a little, you know, if we got a thin spot or something's breaking through. But looking pretty good. All right. We'll be back with the next step. Okay, so here's the PFTE line. Let me get around. All stretched out on the floor that came in the kit. So I basically just have a loop that's a big heavy chain, pull it down. And I don't know, there's what, 30 feet there probably. We got to go the length, the two lines, one, the high pressure line, and then the return line up into it. So we have plenty. So the way that we're going to do this is I'm going to tape these two ends together, and then here's where the lines come in here. We'll get up in here, we'll disconnect them, we'll follow the frame down. Most of it goes to the inside, so we're gonna have, we're gonna have to do some juggalizing, right? Because here's the lines right here. We're gonna have to do some juggalizing to get it in and where we want it, but we're gonna attach it right to these lines. Basically, we'll pull the screws so we can get out, and we'll put tie wraps initially here. And then we have clamps for it, so we'll use the clamps. We clamp it all in there, we'll run it down, up and over, and then up into the engine compartment where we need it, you know, those two ends, the two ends that are down there. We'll come up there, we'll get it where it is, and then we'll cut off the back and cut the two separate lines and leave plenty, you know, coming out for the pressure line and for the return line. Now, I could use the former feed line that's established, it's a hard line as a return line, because it works fine. I mean, that's what fueled the Hollywood off of the pump. But and it looks okay. I mean, excuse me, it looks okay. So we could do that and only have to run one line, but you know, it's metal and it's been there since the car was built. So if it gets a leak, I got to replace it. We'll have to do this again anyway. So we might as well just run the two lines and know that we have that as a potential backup there. But that's what we're going to do. So we'll go ahead and get set up and do that. This is a gas compartment that we painted. Came out pretty good. Did a little couple touch-up spots and spots that we missed, but nice and clean. So that isn't going to rot on us. We did the frame rails too, and we may do more of that as we work on this. But a lot of it will have to be cleaned up before we do that. So that's all right. We'll go from there. Stay tuned. How about an update? Okay, here we're looking at the gas tank area. We've got the high pressure lines run. They're run right here. They're running down the frame rail. They go up there, all the way across the top, and then drop down here, and we've got them secured. Like this comes around the flat, and then we secure it all and up over the membrane here. Follow the old lines right up and up into the engine compartment, up in there, and we'll drop it down and we'll take a look at that. What we have there. The other thing that we ran is the electrical. This is the wiring. I need number 6 for the pump because the amount that it's going to handle. And this yellow is we're going to run it as an additional to this right here, which is the tank. This is the tank sending unit, ground and sending unit right here that goes up under the dash. We're just keeping that normal, okay? So we're going to connect that, but we're also going to connect the yellow wire here, which is a signal wire, so number 12, that runs with this other wire so that we can put it into the ECU. So the ECU for the system will understand how much fuel is in there, just so we can monitor it, okay? And so where that runs is, I ran it down here. This has got a vacuum line that runs, a solid line that runs all the way down. It's for the canister system, but we're not going to be running that. It runs down under here. You can't see it, but right in the shock, you might be able to see a little bit of red in there. That's the wires but they route across the top here. You just follow the vacuum line down, right? Right, just ran them across so they stay at the pinch points. And I'm turning it all kinds of sideways. Let's turn this so you can see right there. And then they drop down. They come down under here, right? And they go right up into here. And then they follow these brake lines up. And the power lines that we ran for the PDM. That's the PDM power lines. We had to run right up, and in. So, and it's got all its, you know, it's got to go to V pump positive, V pump negative, and the signal for the gas tank. So those are all routed. What we're going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put the shield, the metal shield back up that we got all painted, and then we'll go ahead and we'll pass these through the holes. There's holes that come in the shield. They're right here on the side. I can just show you. Right there. There's one, and there's the other. That they route through, and then we can cut them to length. This is the full length of the. I just looped it at the bottom and then ran it and pushed it through. So we got the full length. So we'll have plenty left over because we'll need a little bit, you know, to do the other end of the stuff. That's where we're at. All right, so let me get that shield up and in there, and we'll go from there. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get ourselves all set up so that we can just install the new tank when it comes with the pump and the sending unit, get it up in there, hook the things because they're already sitting there ready to go, and then the only thing we'll need to finish is basically just firing it up because we'll go up front and we'll get everything done. And the last thing we'll do is, this is the line for the oxygen sensor. We're going to mount it right here. There's a little white dot right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. And that's what we're going to drill. We're going to come in as straight as we can with that, and we're going to weld it on. So that's going to be fun. We'll see if we can't get it all to work. Side pipes are not the ideal exhaust system for when you're running a system like that that has a closed loop oxygen sensor on it, but that's where we're at. All right, so hang tight. We'll be right back with the next one. Dirty hands and all. It's all up and in there. Lines are cut. It's going to end up right up in here is where the pump will end up with the new tank. So we got plenty of line there. We got the electricals. These are the two that'll power the pump. This is the old that goes to the dash. And this is the new signal wire that'll go into the ECU. We're just going to join these here and that. And these things go all the way on the top of the tank, all the way over to this corner. So we'll be fine with all of that. So there we go. Now we're just waiting on the tank. So what we'll do now is we'll drop this down. We'll pick which one of these lines is going to be our high pressure line, which one will be our return line. We'll go ahead and we'll get under the hood taken care of. So it's all set. So when the tank comes, all we got to do is that. So let's go ahead and pull these and make sure we pull that stool out of there. Otherwise, we will be dumping this off of the lift, because it will do that. So you got to mind your P's and Q's when you're working with a lift here. So let's take her down for a ride. Everything clear? Everything's clear. Going down. See this huge gap here in the door? Watch it close. It sags when it's on the lift, but that once the tires hit, you'll see that close. So some flexibility. There it goes. Close that gap up. Okay. We're down. Next is up and under the hood. And first thing we're going to do here is we're going to pull out all this extra AC crap that we're not going to use. Here are the two lines I ran up. I got plenty there. It's not going to come up this high. One's going to come into a filter. I got a mount over here, a filter and a regulator. So that'll then go into the way that it'll work. I got you here. Let's pull this air cleaner off real quick. into the throttle body, which is all mounted and ready to go. Except for vacuum lines, we'll do that last. But anyways, whatever the main feed line will come through come through a filter. It'll have a check valve first, and it'll come through a filter. It's going to go directly into this port, probably this port, because we'll need the length here. Down here is probably where we're going to put a lot of our stuff, is right down on this piece here. I need to get a curtain for the thing. That's easily ordered. I've already found those. But we'll mount that there. It'll come out, probably go into this one, come back here where the regulator will be mounted, hit the regulator, and the return will run back on the other line on this one. We've got the regulator and we've got the filter. The system came with a filter. The master kit came with, let me show you. This is the check. That's a check valve that's got to go in so the pressure won't back off once it's there. It maintains pressure. And I think I put the fuel filter, yep, right here. This is the 10 micron fuel filter, but they didn't give a bracket. So it's like, really guys? No bracket to go with that? So I ordered from Evil Energy two things. Evil Energy high flow 10 micron filter with a bracket. So we're going to mount that up. And this is their regulator, because I need the regulator anyways. And I'm going to modify it with this T, because I'm going to have the ECU. This is a pressure sensor. The ECU is going to monitor the pressure on that. It has internal monitoring too, but it also has an additional line that you can do that. There's a pressure sensor in the ECU that tells, in the throttle body, that tells the ECU that it's up to pressure and it's ready to go. These are the lines that came up from the back. We're going to connect to the red and the black. Will go to V pump positive right here and V pump negative right there. And then this one will connect to one of the additional lines that'll come over for that. We're also going to set up, I'm going to set up something in this, there's space right here, you can see it. Two things we're going to sneak in there. We're going to sneak in a relay. This is a single throw switch. And the way that we're going to wire it in is, right now I have it so once the battery's connected, it powers the PDM. The PDM is more or less always powered. But if you have the MRD line, which controls the master main voltage out for the PDM that goes to the ECU, it'll power the ECU. And I have it set up like that for testing right now. So it's into ground, because it's a ground trigger. But what we're going to do is we're going to set this relay up as a ground trigger. We'll pop the sucker in here somewhere. Maybe right even there, depending on where it fits, right? And then what we'll do is we'll wire it in such that when you turn the key on and the ignition ones come on here, it'll cause the relay to close. It'll ground it and turn the ECU on when you command and do that. The other thing we're going to have to do is that pressure sensor requires a 5-volt reference. Now, they told me there was 5-volt reference coming off the ECU, but I'll be damned if I can find it. It's sealed behind some of the black tubing. See the black threading that they have on some of the wires. I'm not pulling it apart. So I picked up a buck converter. It goes 25 watts. It's 12 volts to 5 volts. And we'll just go ahead and we'll wire that in over here, such that we'll hook the 12 volts onto one of the main lines. So when you turn the main line on, it'll give you 5 volts out, and we'll run that sensor off of that. So those are the two other things we'll put in there to get this thing all together and ready to fly. All right, but that's where we are. Got everything set up. Next thing you'll see is we'll come up under this hood here and get that work done. Today's like what, the 17th or something of June? Let me check my watch. 15th of June. Today's Monday, the 15th of June. Late at night. I'm getting ready to call it quits, and I'll be back. So that's where we're at. We'll turn it back on. All right, see you in a little bit. All right, so let's have a quick update here on the wiring situation. And in the confusion that has ensued from talking to their customer support, I can tell that their customer support, not everybody's been trained on all of this. In my working days, I used to run customer support for Microchip Technologies, their worldwide application for a few years. So I know a thing or two about supporting engineers when they do that. But here's the basic situation. I just had somebody tell me don't use the PDM to power this up, whereas last week I had somebody said, yeah, you can use the PDM, that's not a problem, it was made to do that. So we're currently hooked to the PDM for main. It's on VMain 1, which is in the PDM manual, and from the guy who told me last week, that's what you do. The only question was the VMains are controlled by the MRD pin right here, and it's a negative trigger ground. So, I was asking, what do I do with that? Is there a control that controls that? What do I do? And there was no clear answer, other than some of the searches and some of the other things people did was they just grounded the pin. So that's what I did. I've just grounded the pin, and what it's going to do is it's going to turn the V mains on, and they'll just be on, and that's okay, because the power to the ECU is supposed to be on whenever the thing's on. So whenever I hook the battery up, the PDM is going to get supplied. It's going to turn on, and it's going to go ahead and put power to the ECU as well as to the other places I have. The reason I'm using this is I need a clean power source under the hood, because my battery is way behind the seat, and here's the power input line. It looks like it's a 12 or a 10. Over the length, there's going to be a significant drop, and it's going to go crazy, so I'd have to run big lines anyways. So we're going to go ahead and run it this way. If we get into an issue, we'll pull it off, we'll lengthen a little bit, and we'll put it right here onto this big number 6 line that's powering this up. That was sized to do that, and then we'll continue to use the other things. Like I'm using it for the points to go through, so the points are clean, because you got to intercept coming off of the distributor and then and into the ECU. We'll use it for the fuel pump, the signal coming in the fuel pump, so it drives a nice clean fuel pump signal. And of course, you need the ignition key signal, and this one will go ahead and give you like 3 other ones, so you can use them in different spots. So we're going to go ahead and try it. If we get into an issue, then we'll switch it over. It's no big deal, but they are a little confused. They're not sure what they're doing yet. We're going to use the pressure sensor too. So we're going to use this little block right here. It's a buck converter. It'll convert 12 volts to 5 volts. We'll use the PDM mains to power it up, and we'll put it on a relay here controlled by the ignition switch, one of the ignition switch outputs. So the buck converter that feeds 5 volts for that won't be on all the time. It'll only come on when you turn your ignition key on and fuels things up. So we got all our wiring questions answered. We're going to run with it that way. We'll see what happens, and if we have problems, we'll deal with it. That's what you do in each application, because they're different. Still waiting on the tank, haven't heard. We're beginning with probably in the middle of week 2 here. They said it should ship in 2 to 3 weeks, so we'll contact them and see where we're at with that. But it's coming along. We're getting the fuel all set up. Let me show you what I got you here, what we're doing with the fuel lines. We talked about an Evil Energy regulator here, and we got the Evil Energy filter right here. We're going to use a 45. This red line right here is my feed line, so we're going to come up right up into the filter, just like that. We'll come out of the filter, and we'll come over into this one with it to supply it. And then we'll come out of this. We're going to mount the regulator over here. I got this pipe that goes into the AC, which is really solid. We're going to make a bracket that comes off of it. I'll use I'll use something to clamp onto it. And so this will sit right in here like this. I think we're going to configure it this way, with that pointing up so we can read it, and the pressure sensor pointing out, and wire that in so we'll have pressure with that. It'll come out under that, and then my return line comes out the bottom of the regulator, right like there, and it'll be sitting right here. So we'll just take, careful there, I'm knocking parts over that we didn't want to knock over. Let me grab that while I'm seeing it here. There we go. Just like that. Keep them all here. This one that doesn't have the red tape on it, it'll be the line. It'll just come right up, and I hooked it. Just come right up and go into the bottom and go back to the tank. And then we'll hook the tank up with where we're at. So we're getting there. basically we'll be all set real short. That'll be the next thing I'll show you, is we'll show the connections for all the fuel on this side, and then the only thing we gotta do is mount the tank and do the tank stuff, and we'll be ready to put some gas in her and fire up and see what we get. All right, so hang tight and we'll be right back. Okay, engine bay fuel is plumbed. We go to the other side, we'll give a shot across here. So you can see right there, comes up, feedline comes up, goes through the 10 micron filter, out of the 10 micron filter into the throttle body, out of the throttle body into the regulator, and then the return down. We've got the pressure gauge on top so we can read it. We got the pressure sensor on the bottom that needs to be wired in, and we need to pull off the old fuel pump. Let me go around the other side again, show you that. Right down there, and we're going to take out, so that'll be next. These lines, the fittings they give you for these aren't terribly hard to do, but it's easier to do. You really need to measure and cut it square when you do it, and then if you can do it on a bench, it's a lot better. I had to do 1 or 2 in here, which is a pain in the butt, but we got it done. And that bracketed here with a couple hose clamps down there, clamping it to this inlet. We're not using it, of course, so we got it suspended, keeping it away from the headers. So we got this end. Now we get the tank. We do the other end. We got to put the check valve in there, and then hook it to the tank. The check valve, so you know, it'll come out of the tank. You hit the check valve, pump it up. The check valve's there to hold pressure once you turn your key off. So we'll look for pressure leak down when we test it, and leaks and all that type of stuff. So we're at right now. We'll be back in just a little bit with the next piece. Okay, so we just about got this totally wired in terms of what it is. What we did over here in this section, as you can see, I got a relay and I've got the power output. This is the 5-volt reference for the pressure sensor, and we've got it wired over in. The way this is supposed to work is when ignition comes on, the relay closes and puts V-main 2 into the 12-volt buck converter to give us the 5 volts out, because I don't want it powering that sensor all the time. I only want it powering when it's on. The issue that I ran into is the coil current is got to be spiking above 1 amp because it's chattering when it closes. Now eventually it does stay closed, but ignition 1, the ignition switches outputs that come off of this one that drive it will only drive an amp for the auxiliary, so this has got to be pulling more than that. Now I can use a relay output that's on the PDM, but it's negative triggered over here by relay 1 or relay 2. So I've got to figure out how to get a negative trigger when the ignition switch is turned on. Typically what I would do is, you know, I'm an electrical engineer, is put 12 volts in the base of a transistor and have it switch to ground and turn that on. So we'll see where we go with that. We'll be right back with more, so hang on tight. All right, we're going to end part 3 right here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Again, as always, we really appreciate you. If I can say it again, all that jazz, subscribe, make a comment, go ahead and press that like button. I would really appreciate it. It helps us to grow everything. And we'll have number 4 coming up to you real soon.